Hello, and welcome to Entertain Me, my segment on Hollywood shenanigans and the movie industry in general. I'd like to wish you a happy new year from me, the host, the FAT Mantis. That's right, and today we are going to be doing our top 10 movies of 2020. These are the top, both art house or not. I do not differentiate. And it looks like everyone says this was a horrible year for movies, and I'm going to have to disagree. I'm going to have to say that I actually struggled making this list. Now, I do have to chime in about a small group of what do we want to call them? Rogue movies that are being called 2020 features, but only appeared in movie festivals. Now, it's so strange that a lot of pretentious, YouTubers and reviewers in general have put them on their 2020 reviews and like their top 10 lists, even though it's clearly, there's no way they could have seen it. There's no way that some average Midwestern YouTuber went to the Venice Film Festival at the height of Corona to watch One Night in Miami or to watch Pieces of a Woman. So movies like that, unfortunately, are unable to make our list. I know they're going to be premiering both January and February of next year, and the Academy is extending that period. But I live in the real world where 2020 ends on just, midnight on December 31st. So we're going to get straight into it. And the first one I would like to talk to is number 10, The Invisible Man. That is right, a Blumhouse film, horror film of all things, have hit the top 10 list. This actually hit early on during the pandemic, enough where it was able to make its money without actually being before the closing down of theaters, and I have to applaud it. It's directed by Leigh Whannell and stars Elizabeth Moss. Now, she is on a roll. Who would have thought that out of everyone from Mad Men that her career would be the one blossoming? But here she has it. I have to say, this is a great horror movie. It is great in its subtlety, and you can watch it over and over again, and you can actually see all the different ways the Invisible Man messes with her, because it continues to happen throughout the film, and it happens on multiple levels in multiple scenes you never would have expected. Now, you would think that the Invisible Man would produce a movie with a lot of jump scares, and it doesn't. It's a subtle, horrifying, or should I say terrifying experience to uphold, and it kind of has this lingering feeling the way that someone who might be in an abusive relationship might fear being struck by their partner at any given moment. It was wonderful. I loved it. Now, this is going to be a Netflix jam right here. The Five Bloods. Yes, I struggled with how high up on the list this was. I was hoping that it would get lower, but there have been a lot of good gems this year. This was directed by Spike Lee, and it stars Delroy Lindo, Jonathan Majors, Clark Peters, and Chadwick Boseman, amongst others. And it's about some four black Vietnam vets going back in the year 2016 back to Vietnam to find the remains of their fifth member of their friend, their crew from back in the day, who died and whose body was never being able to recover. And it was a beautiful take on both the black experience, but also their experience with war, Vietnam, and all sorts of things. And I'm also going to say that I have to say Delroy Lindo should absolutely be nominated for Best Actor this year. He was amazing in this. Now, number 8, The Wolf of Snow Hollow. We have another horror movie. People don't give horror movies enough credit. It's directed by Jim Cummings, starring Jim Cummings and Ricky Lindholm. Now, this is a story of a werewolf who's terrorizing a small Utah mountain area, which is known for skiing and resorts, so there's a lot of snow play in action. And it starts off as, it seems like it's a very typical horror movie, very typical werewolf movie, but I would say that it is the best werewolf movie I have ever seen. It also jumps from being serious, but also very comedic, with the sheriff played by Jim Cummings, who also is battling alcoholism. Now, unfortunately, they are making fun of alcoholism, or should I say, how hard it is being a sober prick, because that's what the dude is experiencing right there. But they do it in a playful way, but it's able to jump between serious and horrific back into humor, and it actually hits on multiple levels. I really enjoyed this ride right here. Number 7, another Netflix jam, The Devil All the Time, directed by Antonio Campos and starring Tom Holland, Bill Skarsgård, Riley Keough, Haley Bennett, Robert Patterson, and a few others. Now, this movie is known as Jawline, the movie, because it's just filled with a bunch of hotties who are pretending to be hillbillies. It's interesting. The whole story takes place in Knock'em-Smith, Ohio, back in the 40s, and it has a lot of issues to do with poverty. It's a Southern Gothic tale. It's very horrific. It's about the horrible things that happen to people when they are truly impoverished, the way Southern poverty hits you. And that creates alienation and a lot of rundown locations, beautifully shot on location. And although a bunch of pretty boys were in it, they actually pulled this off. Now, originally when I first saw it, I was disgusted by the film. However, it had one of those magical qualities that haunted me for weeks. I would just think about it. I'd be like, why did this character do this? And then it would hit me later on. I'm like, oh, look at these different levels it's hitting me on. I really, really enjoyed it. Tom Holland can actually act. He's not just high school Peter Parker, so that's fascinating right there. Now, we're going to hit number 6, another Netflix jam. I might as well stop saying that. We should just assume everything's Netflix at this point. The Boys in the Band. Now, this is one of those Ryan Murphy produced things. Now, we know he's been hit or miss on the channel. He signed a big deal with Netflix. He's producing some gold and some not so gold, if you feel me. However, this is definitely one of his gold pieces. It's directed by Joe Mantello, and it stars Jim Parsons, Zachary Quinto, Matt Bomer, Andrew Reynolds, and another ensemble cast. Now, this is an adaptation of a play that when it was first received back in the 60s, it was actually hated upon because it was written and directed by a gay man who made being gay seem like it's self-loathing and miserable state. However, a modern look on it, they didn't have to change anything, just looking at the script, seems like it talks about some true realities about how hard it is, even in this day and age, when you are LBGT, and you know how to express yourself, how to be yourself, what's up with hiding those you love. It's very well done. It's very play. It takes place in one setting, but it was excellently done. I absolutely loved it. Going on to the top 5. Number 5, I'm gonna go with Soul, coming off of Disney Plus. This is Pixar's latest jam, and it should have been in theaters. I think people are uproar that it didn't hit theaters. It is what it is. We live in Corona. It's directed by Pete Docter and starring Jamie Foxx and Tina Fey. Now, this one is gonna rip you up Major League. Now, I think, as I've said before, YouTube is filled with losers, or should I say not losers, because there are winners. I'm saying failures. People who failed in other industries. Whether you were a failed writer, or you wanted to make comic books, or you wanted to be a director, or something like that, and didn't kind of work out, and then you found yourself on YouTube. Boom, I dig it. I understand that. So I feel like a lot of YouTubers might understand this one. And it's a cartoon about a jazz musician, pianist, a black gentleman who is a substitute teacher who finally in his 40s makes his big debut in jazz, and he's about to play with an ensemble band that's going to just change his career and take him out of being a teacher and allow him to pursue his dreams. And unfortunately, he dies that very day. It's about the afterlife. It's about both hating and appreciating your own life. It's about the fairities or unfairities of life and death and the circle of life. I highly recommend it, and I gotta tell you, have a box of tissues near you. You have been warned. Now, going into number 4, Netflix brought us Mank. Now, this was the movie I was waiting for all year round. It was like counting down the minutes. Originally, they said it would come out in October, but they waited till December, got postponed for whatever reason. And this is a black and white movie by David Fincher as director, who was written by his father before he was deceased. And it stars Gary Oldman and the bug-eyed girl who turned down the role of Gamora from Guardians of the Galaxy, and Charles Dance of Game of Thrones fame. It was really well done. Now, one of the problems with it is it has to do with the writing and the circumstances involving the writing of Citizen Kane, one of the greatest movies ever made back in the day. Unfortunately, you have to actually know about that movie, or at least seen that movie, to understand all the connections. However, they were brilliantly done. I highly recommend this one. And trust me, the black and whiteness does not make it pretentious at all. It adds total to it. It's a shame that wasn't in theaters. Or maybe it was and no one meant. Who knows? Now, top 3. Number 3, I'm going with Christopher Nolan's Tenant. That's right. Now, I know a lot of people have jokes about how it was hard to understand or whatever, and you can't hear things. I watched the movie twice in theaters and did not need any subtitles. And then once it hit streaming, I watched it another 2 times with subtitles, and it didn't necessarily change the experience. Even though I had originally missed some lines, it's still an amazing film. Nolan likes to stretch or change both time and dimension and play with our minds. He's a very trippy director, and he does not fail. He found a new gimmick that it really is a great vehicle for storytelling. I can watch this movie again and again, and after watching it, it made my brain go into a spiral of learning about different theories and ideas, and it's one of the most clever time travel pieces I've ever seen, certainly. I would also say that it stars John David Washingbeard, who I think has a huge future in Hollywood. I hope he did good as an action hero here. I hope he eventually bags a superhero role, maybe Green Lantern or something. And it actually has Robert Pattinson proving that he can play an action hero. He was a very competent spy in this piece. I really enjoyed it. Next, our number 2 piece will be Spree. That is directed by Eugene Katlirenko and starring Joe Keery of Stranger Things fame. Now, don't ask me which kid he is. Everyone will ask me which kid does he play. There's so many kids in Stranger Things, you cannot keep track of them. Just turn it on, you've seen his face around, he's there. And it is actually produced by Audrey Graham, who used to play Wheelchair Jimmy in Degrassi: The Next Generation. Now, I've heard Audrey Graham would eventually move to America and have some sort of music career. I don't know what that is, but it's just something I heard at some point. But it is a found footage movie, one of the best found footage movies I've ever seen. And it not only did it strike me personally, I think anyone in the internet age would have strong feelings about this movie. What it does is it plays off of a very simple concept that all of us are hustling on the internet. We all want our likes or our friends or our subs. We all want to be known, and we struggle for it. And the way the system is designed is not everyone is meant to go viral or to make it. It's about a kid who will do anything to go viral. And I mean anything. I was able to watch this movie multiple times with no problems, and I laughed and I had a good time, and I think it had some very important things to say about this new day and age obsession with the internet. It's definitely the best obsession with the internet movie I think they have made thus far. And finally, drumroll, our number 1 movie of the year is also coming from Netflix, and that was Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Now, that is directed by George C. Wolfe, starring Viola Davis, Chadwick Boseman, Glenn Turman, and Coleman Domingo. This movie was amazing. I'm going to tell you that at the end, it made me cry, and I couldn't stop crying. I had to keep putting on comedies in order to get over the emotions that it stresses. Now, it takes place in Chicago's and the 20s and the blues and burgeoning jazz scene, and how black musicians are taken advantage of, or hopefully that's a thing of the past, but it dealt with a lot of racial issues. Now, this is also an adaptation of a play. Similar to like The Breakfast Club or these other things, every character gets a monologue. And after we see them behave disgustingly, their monologue kind of reveals their mindset about why they act the way they are. And it has a lot of things to do about just society and racial issues and all sorts of things. It's very modern. It stars, our passed away prince, or should I say king, Chadwick Boseman, who unfortunately passed this year. And he was amazing in it. Viola Davis was also amazing, playing Ma Rainey, who was actually a historical character. She's actually a real character. And I loved her monologue when she got to explain herself. That was just absolutely just spell invoking, man. I can't even get into it. But that is my number 1 pick. Now, I am curious, what are your picks of the year? Did I miss anything? What is at least honorable mention? And what do you think should be the number 1? Please let me know down in the comments. Even leave a top 10 list of your own. I would love to check it out. And please check, you know what? Ultimately, above anything I'm going to say to you, have a happy new year. It has been a rough 2020, and hopefully 2021 will be just an easier year. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and remember to keep tuning in to Voice of the Fat Mantis for more reviews, top 10 lists, shenanigans, and just fun and joy. Until next time, ciao for now.